Hello, everyone. Check my sound. Hello, Fred.
Comeza, what a pleasure to meet you.
And meet you as well. How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's been, I think, like most people, a very, very busy day at the office, but very productive.
Oh, it's Monday. If your Monday has been anything like my Monday, I'm just like, wait, I need the hours back.
It always seems to get to that stage that we get to the close of the business day and we think, where did all of that time suddenly just disappear to?
Right? It's so intense, so intense. But thank you so much for honoring our invitation and coming through and joining us an hour and just spending some time with us on this Monday. I think it's such a beautiful conversation that we're going to have. Very forward to. Ooh, Patrick, your signal is doing a bit of wonky thing there.
Okay, what I might do then, I might also be able to just join by my laptop, which is a little better if you give me 30 seconds.
Happiness, I'm here.
Great, let me join that quickly.
In the meantime, thank you so much, everybody who's joining us this evening. I think it's a different break from regular programming. I mean, you guys know we do our Sisterhood Hour on Wednesdays on Twitter. I actually have to admit, I've been very remiss in posting content on Sisterhood Hour, our pages on Instagram, but I'm excited that we're having this conversation. I'm feeling really good about this conversation, especially because it's such an important one. It's bold. It's bold. But I'm really excited that you guys are here and you're joining us. And yeah, it's really, really awesome. Oh, Mpilo, oh, that is so cute. No, Mpilo, I'm not Rosemary Zimu. I'm a fan of her work, but thank you so much for the compliment. But I am not Rosemary, but I'll let her know that you think that she's super cool. Thank you so much for joining us this evening on Sisterhood Hour. We are going to be joined by Patrick John Leslie. He's really, yeah, I think he's got the coolest job. He's got one of the coolest jobs. He works, I'm going to also ask him about the pronunciation of Veuve, because I know all of us kind of get a little bit trippy about it, but we are going to have this conversation with him and we're going to find out the work that they've been doing in the country, about also the Bold Woman Award that has been launched this year in South Africa. I think it's an incredible testament to who we are as South Africans. I see he's just asked for a request. I'm going to go live with him, and it's exciting. I'm so excited about this award, about what it means for entrepreneurs in South Africa, what it means for post-COVID entrepreneurship. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be meaningful. And I'm also going to ask him about his job, because I mean, I think it's fascinating. It's really, really fascinating. I think it's really fascinating. So please let me know if you are hearing me clearly, if you are seeing me clearly. I'm seeing lots of likes. So hey, I love that. Let me accept Patrick again. Let's see if he's able to join. Accept. But let me know where you're joining from. I mean, which part of the country or the world you're in. I see some familiar faces. Mbumi, hey. Kwandi, hey, girl. Tandekile, wow. Ma'am, hi. Let's see. Let me try invite John. Patrick John Leslie. I think that's such a cool name. Okay, invite. Let's see. Hey! Hi, Patrick.
Meza, that should be much better, I'm hoping.
Yes, I am seeing you and the bottles in the background, sir.
We have to have a collection, of course.
I mean, it's quite a good looking connection. I love it. That's such a beautiful collection. How are you? How are you doing?
Fantastic. Yeah, just a warm welcome to everyone around South Africa. Lovely to see people, I think, connecting from all around our beautiful nation. So lovely to see that. And thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you. And thank you for joining and making the time this Monday. I mean, like we were saying earlier, that Mondays are always a bit special in the way that they're actually new.
Organized chaos.
Right. But thank you so much. I think I was saying while we were recording was that I love, firstly, it is the introduction. Please tell us about who you are. I mean, you are Patrick John Leslie. First, I love the fact that John is thrown in there. It's so cool. Who are you? What are you about? And talk you, firstly.
Yes. So Patrick John Leslie. I go by that name, but I've also got many more amongst friends and other colleagues that I've built up in this industry over so many years. I found myself getting into the industry after completing a postgraduate in marketing in Cape Town, and was completing a greenfield project, a very exciting one for a company that I was working for at that stage, almost in an internship. And got the offer to come through to the company, which was in the liquor industry, and started working for them from 2008. And I've had the most beautiful journeys, A, within the liquor industry, and then B, I had a little hiatus in which I left the industry completely for 4 years, and I went to Tokyo and joined a massive Japanese conglomerate company in their multinational business department. And then somehow just had to find myself back to South Africa and back to this beautiful industry, of course, which is very close to my heart and mind, with champagne. So it certainly had a calling back to me, both in its lovely provenance, but of course also in FMCG. It's such a dynamic industry. I love getting close to people and working within FMCG. There is this thing that you can see what you do with brands, with people, so I think tangibly, and you can also see both, whether that's in the CSR programs or within programs that are just consumer driving in terms of our beautiful products. It's a wonderful thing to see joy and development in people so tangibly.
Wow. And even when you're speaking about it, I'm just like in my mind thinking like the different experiences that associated with the brand. And it's not always seamless in a sense. Like there's always like, okay, so stop. But for you, for Veuve, it's just a part of it's that, oh no, Monday you should have already filled bottle. It's a lifestyle thing, and like with the polo also, there's different touch points. Has become the culture that is Veuve. Pronunciation, because there's always that thing of and also got a colorful. People always pronounce it the way. How do you drink it? When do you drink it?
It's a brilliant question, and the one that gets asked the most. And it's really simple in terms of the French language. In the vast majority of times, you wouldn't pronunciate the last letter. However, there are some outliers, but in this case, Clicquot certainly lives by the majority rule. So Madame Clicquot is how you pronunciate it, and who is the beautiful founder of our business that took it from a very small champagne house into this global iconic brand in the space of her lifetime. And we'll have some more discussions and chats about Madame Clicquot later on. But on that pronunciation, Veuve Clicquot, it's that simple.
I love how you say it's that simple. Like, I love that. She's like, It's okay. So, Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot. Veuve Clicquot.
Correct. No, you've managed the pronunciation 100%. If we only go on that, then you're also 100% French.
Yes. So the next time, Patrick, that you go to France, hi. Just give me an advance notice. I get my visa sorted, but I'm coming. I've invited myself.
Brilliant, brilliant. We're always looking for more advocates of the brand. So hopefully over the course of this conversation, I'm sure I don't need to convert. It's almost as though I'm preaching to the choir. But yes, certainly so.
Brilliant. Patrick, so our conversation is mostly about the Bold Woman Award. This is the first year that it's going to be. I feel like, hey, I'm bold. Hey, but I'm totally untimed. I went like I'm cutting my hair. Like I'm cutting my hair. This is me doing it. But I'm following the journey of the awards, also specifically because one of your ambassadors, Amanda Dambuza, he just loves the brand. She's just like into now, so exuberant, and I think it's perfectly matched. I mean, I think it's one of those partnerships. It's so beautiful, and it's happened organically. And I love that at what the awards are going to be into the country, especially during COVID. I mean, first, what you mean in terms of innovation, in terms of leadership, in terms of all the things that are about businesses and women. I feel like in South Africa we are just on some level, right? So how has it launched this awards Africa? Because I think it's probably a weighty decision, that it's not like a the team gets to the point of, you know what, we've market here, let's do this. Let's recognize female on the continent, specifically South Africa.
It's been, and I think to give everyone some context, I'm pretty much going to go right to the beginning of Veuve Clicquot's involvement in empowering females. And that started on the 200th anniversary of Veuve Clicquot in 1972, where they wanted to pay homage to 200 years of their history. And we are, as of that year, the first ever brand to have a global female empowerment award. And it goes all the way back to the first Businesswoman Award by Veuve Clicquot in 1972. South Africa, we were very late in terms of getting involved in that. I'll be honest. We started, Amanda was, I think, our third Businesswoman Award winner for Veuve Clicquot in South Africa. And that was in 2019, if I recall. Amanda was our winner. She's been phenomenal as an individual, but we'll also get onto that later on. And it was called globally for 47 odd years, the Veuve Clicquot Businesswoman Award. And we wanted to shift that name in particular into Bold, which was really there's many other businesswoman awards around the world, and many brands are introducing that. And we wanted then again to pay homage to why are we doing it? It's not just about another businesswoman. It's about bold women and starting bold conversations. And I think it's taken us from, and I don't want to downplay any other companies or organizations going into this realm, because I have to commend any of them going into the realm of building female business networks and showcasing successful females. But I think it's that we wanted to go into a new sort of stratosphere of the celebration of bold and what that means for everyone in organizations, for everyone in communities. And that's why we're launching, going from this Businesswoman Award into the Bold Awards. And we're so excited to finally bring that to life, which now the entries are closing at the close of business tomorrow. But I'm most excited, having seen already close to 100 very, very top and exceptional entries that have come in through the global website. I'm really excited to get through into the judging phases, which will go into June, and then of course the final award ceremony in July. So yeah, that's to give everyone a bit of context of where we've come from as an organization. It's not the first time we've been in this, but we really are taking it to what we would call our level 2.0.
I love it. I love what level 2.0 represents, because it's acknowledging, like you're saying, so it's not about the business, about how businesses have existed and evolved, how they're growing, how they're doing things matter to consumers, because there's always that thing that exists for the sake of the bottom line, and they just want to push product. They're not going to tap into the psyche of the consumer and the people that they're offering the service or the product. But I love how, I think from what you're saying and a little bit of reading, is that the board is about ensuring that the businesswomen who are sending through their entries, they've got that little extra thing, is that little, it's not about the bottom, pushing products and services, and making sure that your numbers are good, which is always a good thing. But from how are you connecting to your customers? How are you connecting to people who experience your product, perspective? And things I want to ask you, even when you're receiving the awards, that's 100 entries through, like, what is the criteria? Because you all kind of see it on paper, but it's hard to pour your heart out to a piece of paper.
Yes.
This business is not just your bread and butter, it's your life. It connects with the people that you are hiring, who are your employees. Because I've always thought, SMMEs especially, it's not just about the owner. So I think about, I'm going to give feedback to me. I want you to grow. I want you to understand that it comes from a place of love, and I want you to kind of, you take the next level, because we want to improve. And anybody who says, oh no, but I've experienced that, I always ask, have you given feedback? Because it's not about the business owner, it's about who they've employed. Because if you complain and stop coming, that's not just you, that's your employees and their families. So when entries are coming through the review, I think that's a hard job, because you are knocking it out of the park, but there's a little bit of extra that you need to do. So how do you review? What's the process? And I mean, without giving, on the evening of the award ceremony, there will be more shared. But how do you start to take a moment and look at the reasons? This is the batch. These are the people that need.
So I think it's really good in terms of the way that we've set up the platform, in terms of traditional sort of questionnaire as such, is instead of being rather, I think, prescriptive and trying to force people into the usual business measurements of profit after tax, how many employees, we've rather gone about, it's the individual and their ideology matching to our bold ideology. And that's why we've tried to push questions which are more orientated towards someone's approach to life and their business ideology rather than business metrics. And I think you can see that straight away through those answers. Because of that, I think people are more comfortable with talking about their characteristics, versus brass tacks conversations. And I think through that platform and the way that we set it up into those leading questions into business ideology, and then secondly, we've built a really strong our judiciary as such that's going to happen, and our judges has got some incredibly powerful and dynamic businesswomen on it, our panel, and I think they are then going to also align to more of that business ideology rather than the brass tacks conversations. So I think leading to that, and I think where your conversation was going now, I think by doing that on both of those steps within the process, that our winners are people that do associate to that ideology of how you do business. It's not so much about the objectives of the end of have you got that operating profits organized as such. And we're really excited to see as part of this process, I'm just commenting on what we've got initially on the first process, has been, it's been so rewarding in seeing that coming out of most of the female entrepreneurs are building that up and showcasing and illustrating their personality types rather than the business fundamentals and tangibles. The intangibles are what we're rather looking for.
I love that. And I think the personalities of the, because I mean, even Madame Clicquot herself, for her, I mean, the passing husband and now it's this business, and especially during the time that she was in, I mean, a woman spearheading her own business, I mean, that takes a lot of chutzpah. A lot of
to take some of the viewers back in 1805 when Madame Clicquot was widowed. She was 27 years old. It was a time in the world where females could not even own a bank account. And she took the reins of this tiny business, and in her own lifetime built up an international business that was the first brand to export champagne into pretty much most countries around the world outside of Europe, and really built up what we would call in modern days a modern big multinational corporation. And it is just such a brilliant story that inspires me. It inspires, I think, not only women, but anyone in business and business of any levels, whether they're working in a corporate or trying to have their own startup. There's wonderful things of Madame Clicquot's spirit, not only just in her business vision. We were also very fortunate that she was an innovator. She invented two things within champagne that are still done today. The process of riddling and clarifying your champagne, as well as blending rosé and red wines to make a rosé champagne in the manner that she did. Those are two things that she invented, and in those days there wasn't a patent on it, but Madame Clicquot invented those two processes that still are the backbones of brilliant champagnes produced now 250 years later.
When you put it like that, I mean, that takes it to a whole new level, because that's history, that's also legacy. It speaks to what a lot of people, I'm sure, businesses, it moves at some point beyond just, you know, bread and butter and months on months. It's about ensuring that when years from now, when people are talking about your business, they're talking about where you started and the lives that you've changed and the way that you've innovated and shown certain leadership. And I have to ask, I mean, when you're talking about the brand, when you're doing the introduction, like there's you live and breathe it. You love it. So you heard why? What has your the question was, what has there been one defining word? We all have those times. It's clear as day. You just know instinctively. You know that you need to take certain particular part. And we look back to Madame Clicquot, and at the time of arrival, but it develops into something, what it is that she's doing and changing the narrative, not just for women, but the industry that she was in and the time that she was in. And we can all kind of take that we can also put in our own day-to-day life. What for you has been that defining moment that switched things up for you, that said, okay, this is the direction your life is going in, whether anybody understands it, whether standing and walking alone, because a lot of times you start talking about like your dreams, are like, hey, like, are you okay? Are you going through something? What has been your moment that said, no, Patrick, just go, do this for yourself?
I think my closeness with the brand, there wasn't sort of one epiphany moment, but it was actually reading the biography of Madame Clicquot. And I can highly recommend it to anyone as it's a really quick read. It's not long. It's I think about 200 pages in total. It's a beautiful book that was written and publicized, I think now about 10 years ago, and still is fairly readily available. You can buy it in South Africa. If I recall, Exclusive Books is actually through who I bought it through at the time. And beyond our conversation now, there's these intricacies of Madame Clicquot as a person, both as a romantic, and she certainly didn't live as a widow. She had many, many men who followed up in the rest of her life. I'll be honest there. So it was, I would say, fruitful both on the business front and the personal front in Madame Clicquot's life. So she was just this extraordinary individual who also not only innovated, but pushed individual people within her business, whether that was people managing her export or people actually managing the production of her wines. And it's one of the most beautiful and simplest sayings I've ever heard of any manufacturing business. And we still live by it today. It is our mission and kind of the ethos of the Veuve Clicquot business globally. And it was a statement from Madame Clicquot, and she said, we will only have one quality, the finest. Sure. And that's what she instilled in everyone in the business then. And many of these houses and champagne houses, or even luxury goods houses, or any companies that go beyond, like hers, 6, 7 generations, I think that in Japanese, it's called kaizen, which is constant innovation. Each and every year, you have to maybe not take ginormous innovation steps. It's sometimes just the small incremental innovations that make big differences in the long run. And hence why you've got this business which has now lasted 250 years, because we're still living by a mantra that Madame Clicquot started herself, and that is one quality, only the finest.
Wow, that's amazing. So for you, it's only the
finest. It started with that, and I think that business thing also started for me when we talk of a personal journey. And if you hold yourself up to that same mantra, is if you're going to give something of yourself, make sure that it's your finest self. And don't try and spread yourself too thin. Give your finest self to something rather than the not so finest self.
I feel that a little bit personal, Patrick. I mean, talk about dragging a girl. And I mean, personally, for me, I get what you're saying, because also like give all of yourself in the spaces that really resonate with you, that you really can fully give of who you are, because that is the place that you want to be 100% yourself. But I think one of the things, especially like, you know, we call it the gig economy, and people are like, you know, more than one income is a thing. I mean, Sisterhood Hour is my side business, and maybe like call it a side hustle because it's a business. It's not a side thing. It's not an afterthoughts. But it's so challenging because in the time that we are in, especially after 2020 with COVID, we all learned how to relationship better, or how we're not relationship better, how we are showing up as ourselves, not showing up as ourselves. And there's a lot of personal truths we face up to. And as you're saying, like only the finest. And it's leading up to my next question, which is, as somebody who's part of as Veuve Clicquot, you now incredible platform with the Bold Woman Awards, when young people who, you know, they envision their life in a certain way. I mean, I call myself young. I'm still. What would you say to someone who's joined our live, but will watch later? What would you say to them? You know what? You may have applied. You've made your entry. Maybe this is not your year. Or don't feel disheartened. There's a little bit of growth that you need to do. It's not necessarily about just the numbers, but how would you motivate them to say, keep showing up, keep staying true? Because also there's a thing of you want to show a certain narrative in terms of, because it's the coffee shop, it looks cute, you need to have, you know, a certain, you know, laptop or something. We don't always show the other side. I mean, there's no sharing of, I have a 9 to 5 as commitment. I've got a home to get to. There's so many things that add up. How do you say to someone, stay course? You know, there's no blueprint, but as long as you remember what it is that you're trying to do, it will work out. So what are your words of encouragement, especially around the bold words?
I think for me, it's a lifelong sort of mantra outside of just the Bold Awards, and in particular for entrepreneurs, which is celebrate the failures. And I know that we are, yes, have a Bold Award, but I think if you chat to all of our previous winners, and this is something that I would say to those young people, all of them failed. And they only got to that position of success now, not by having won every single thing. They've actually probably been the people who have lost the most, but kept on. And the main thing is then to learn from those failures, but also celebrate them. And I think too many of us look at the success, particularly through social media these days, of when someone has gained success, the journey that we've seen them being on, we've only seen the successful moments. They haven't celebrated the failures in that. And I wish that that would become more socially acceptable, to also bring more of a reality to what we're doing. The amount of failures that do happen, however, they're never portrayed in media. And I think it builds the wrong idea for younger people of, oh, I'll just quickly go from step A successfully to step B and step C. That's never the journey. And I think that would be something that I would want to convey, and for them to actually have some form of happiness and celebration in the failures.
I love that. That's so important, because as you say, we don't see the journey, we don't see the failures, we don't see the setbacks, we don't see the moments where you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. The bounce back, right? Talking about it, like I'm thinking about even before COVID, I mean, no one knew COVID was coming. And the impact and the severity of it. I remember last year, no, actually in COVID year, 2020, conversation I had with a particular entrepreneur, and she was talking about the journey of her failure in business. How, you know, the vocab of telling that story of failure, that's not done. Because, like you say, we want to see the highlights. We want to see popping champagne, preferably. See those highlight moments of the book being launched, but that moments when there was setback upon setback, where you got to your celebratory bottles moment. And I mean, I remember at the end of the conversation with her, towards the end, I could actually feel like I could get it, because I mean, I went from a 9 to 5, and I was like, do this in 2020, sisterhood don't be my thing, I'm going to be doing things to, you know, supplement the income. But I was good. I had a, and when that doesn't work out the way that you want to work out, it's, I can't even describe it. but it's that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Gosh, how do I even describe the feeling of failure? Of feeling like I've done absolutely everything in my power to make this work, but it's just not. How do I, keep the household? How do I show up in the world? How do I wake up tomorrow morning and say, I can do this, I'm going to still show up? Yes, challenges go, but they're helping me step up to the next level. But we're not openly having those conversations and talking about the vulnerability of saying, this didn't work out. But it's not a complete failure, because there were lessons. There were people who came into my life to teach me certain things. And even in those moments of failure, towards the end of 2020, I had a girl. It was fun while it lasted. Worship thing. Maybe 2020 was not the year. Lessons learned. But take, right? You've got to get back into it. I think one of the highlights from that, in the insanity of it all, was to be able to articulate people closest to me when I was like, I'm back in the job market. No reality is what it is. But I've got my family, I've got my daughter, and in my showing up, I need to step back into a space that I was like, that's not it. But in order to group and to feel a bit stronger and to be able to step in the spaces that I wanted to be in, to deal with things that I needed to show up again. I needed to be present again, to re-engage with my own. And I think that's the part of Golden was like, oh, so excited. Because it's a challenge, it's a call to be present, fight for dreams, fight for what it is that you want to do and build. And also because it's not just building for yourself, it's about building for the people in your life, in the community that you're in. It's about building the legacy. It's about creating something that is just, that'll live long after that you have gone. And I think I just love that. I love that. That's the brand. I love that. But apart from the polo. That's all about that. But it's the essence of it, and it's the genuine spirit of the call to action. And you've mentioned it quite a lot in terms of the innovation about the leadership. It's about the people who are within, and that's
the different pillars. I mean, as you said, there's the actual award about celebrating those people who have got to that level, and I think this is also why we went from the Businesswoman Award to the Bold platform. Is we've also built up two other pillars within the Bold platform. One, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which is the Veuve barometer. Now, that barometer is also to help females to actually understand in every country and collect data on what are the hardships, what are the challenges, can we share, can we have best practice? So building up that data also means how do you help people who aren't just on that upper echelon, but how do you help every female who's trying to either work in the business environment or start their own business in any environment? So that's a second pillar that we are really proud to also say South Africa is part of the interviewing and data collection process. So we're one of the few markets in the world as part of that process. So we get all that live data and it's available on the website to compare against all those other key markets around the world, such as USA, Japan, Great Britain. And it's phenomenal that data collection also sometimes just showing other people that you're in a similar situation also sometimes can inspire people, or it can rally people to call, but this shouldn't be the situation around the world. Let's change that altogether. And it's amazing what that does for networks. And then beyond that, we've started the Bold Conversations, which is one of the conversations we're having now, which is is have the tough conversations. It's not just about an award ceremony where someone gets up on a stage and gets an award. Behind that, in the real work that I think happens, is the tough conversations. That's where I think people are able then to stand on a stage and everyone is able to clap. It's because of the tough conversations that have happened prior to that.
Absolutely. And it's the bold conversations that allow people to, I feel like we walk around, oh, I'm fine, oh, I'm fine, but we don't allow ourselves that moment to really be like, hang on a second. In me saying that I'm fine, I'm making the other person think that if they're having a moment that there's something wrong with that, there's power in vulnerability. Not just the boo-hoo or what, but in the, okay, so this is the situation that you're experiencing right now. How do we help me support? What support do you need? What in your strategy is not working? Where do we need to refine things? How do we support each other? I feel like that's the important part about this particular award, about women, about opening up the channels of support as well, and the networks that people are able to. And like you said, it's not just about the upper issue. I'm good. It's about how, if you're starting out as a or you're in a particular avenue of whether it's finds or products or services, where can you look to for that support? Where can you look to for the stats? I mean, even the barometer mentioned. Like, where do you look to for the resources for people who genuinely want to help, who genuinely want to connect and help you grow and understand is your growth? And I think a lot of times we want to be comfortable, be like, no, I want to sales. I just want to be able to like a little net egg. But people who can like, whoa, why are you playing small? Like, oh, so up, say it with your chest to be like, I want to be a Madame Ho. You know, and yes, it might not be immediately. It could only be in 2 years that there'll be a Meza Award. But, you know, just there's that feeling of step into your life, step into your chosen path, and boldly declare that this is what I want. And I'm learning, oh no, I just want to do this, and I just want to, and my friends are like, they're just so sick.
I think that's exact, to step boldly into anything. And it kind of comes back to your point of there are some realities in a place and in everyone's scenario. Having to put food on a table and not being able to take the risks. And I have to commend anyone who's in that scenario who then does take the risks. But that boldness that comes with it. And I wanted to say, even if, again, going to the failures point, I wish people would just celebrate more the fact that anyone has gone on that journey, even if they've gone halfway and didn't go all the way. Just the audacity to take one step in that direction, I think there has to be more celebrations in that step. Even if someone comes back and says, do you know what, I've registered my company. I haven't done any other groundwork. I haven't employed anyone. I've registered the company. I've got a plan in place in 6 months' time. Just that registration of more people saying, you know what, even though you haven't got R1 worth of revenue driven out of that company, well done on just that step of getting to there, of getting your mind into a place and a state of separation, of wanting to be bold, of taking another step.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Patrick, we're almost out of time, but let us talk about the admin side about the awards. So anybody who's joined our chat, we should find out, where do I go? How do I go? Where do I go? There's 2 different categories. We just do that because they literally only have less than 24 hours to go on.
Yes, and I'll be honest, we're not making it public wide, but we are extending entries for another 48 hours very secretly. So between us and the people on here, we are extending it beyond the close of business tomorrow, just because we know there have been some connectivity issues, and we know, Roland, with our power issues and surges in South Africa, some people have gone halfway through, then it's jammed up and they haven't been able to complete. So we are extending it another 48 hours. And all of the information is on the Veuve Clicquot global website. It will go under South Africa. You'll see it's very, very clearly linked there. It will give you all the information on the two different applications that you want to go for. It's either someone who's got experience beyond 3 years, or someone with under 3 years experience, if I was to put it very, very succinctly. But also, I don't want to discourage people actually just going and entering. It also will start to invoke a lot of introspection within yourself. Even if you don't even click on the enter button, just go through that process. I think it's a lovely benchmark and yardstick to any individual in this process to say, let me actually think and try and remove myself, because I know anyone who's trying to start themselves, they both the CFO, CEO, head of security, head of logistics, they're doing everything. And I think for anyone in that position to remove yourself and to try and become very objective and get some oversight of yourself in that leadership position and the business, I think can be beneficial, even if you don't press enter in the final button. But just to go through the process, I would highly recommend it.
I love that. Thank you so much. I see we've got someone who's requested to join. Matubatsi, I'm going to accept. I don't know if she's going to be able to join. Let's see. I'm hoping she's still there. Matubatsi? Let's see. Okay, I might just have to do it the old-fashioned way. Let's see if I can find her here. I'm going to invite her. I see she's been holding on. But to anybody who's joined us this evening, thank you so much. If you have a question to ask, please do pop it into the comments and just give us a shout and let us know what the question is. Patrick is here. We are here in conversation, but even if you have a question much later, please do pop it into my DMs or Patrick's. We've got his handle now.
Please.
So if you have a question,